Music, or have we not got the music, Mr. Jon Lewis?
I love that song so much. Honey, the lady the band's named after, is on drums. She's the drummer of the song. I think she may have been the first female drummer.
Well, I've not ever... Oh, Karen Carpenter used to drum.
Correct, yes. I wonder if all female drummers can sing. Oh, no.
Well...
Honey wasn't singing on that one.
Karen Carpenter was one of my favourites with her beautiful voice.
Oh, lovely.
Well, I mean...
Warm and delicious voice.
It's great to see you, John.
You too. Jenny, you just keep looking better and better.
It's the soft lighting. Would you turn it down a wee bit more? No, I'm only kidding.
I like soft lighting.
No, I really mean that, John. And I mean, you know, people that work in the industry care about each other a lot. You know, they really, really do.
Well,
and
I
think most people have had a kick in the stomach from time to time with changes in management and changes in style of programming.
Happens, that's right.
It does,
it's all taste.
but it doesn't make it any easier. You lose your identity, I think, for a while.
Well, you can get overly involved, and I think that was one of the things I did. I put my everything into whatever it is I do. And with the radio show, I gave, for those 5 hours, 5 days a week, I gave 6 days, almost 24 hours to make that happen. So when it goes, you sort of think...
What now?
Yeah, or even what am I?
That's what I'm saying. Your identity is questioned by yourself, not by anyone else. And it's a grieving process.
It's a bit like that.
No, it really is, because you've lost that connection. But the wave of compassion from everybody
my goodness,
it's been phenomenal.
I was saying to you off air earlier, I did not expect that. I thought there might have been a couple, but the absolute wave, dare I say avalanche of sympathy and love and understanding was astounding.
We should probably start a GoFund page and buy a radio station for you.
We could get one of those pirate boats and sail it off the coast.
The other side of Rottnest.
Yes, that's right. With a little radio flag.
Do you know...
I like that. That would be fun.
It would be fun.
It would be a good song.
Well, you know...
Walk in the Black Forest.
The whole thing with life in itself, you know, with technology and networking and radio and television, all sorts of things with artificial intelligence and that sort of thing.
Yes.
You know, we're having to sort of unfortunately accept and expect change, aren't we? But we're human beings. We've all got feelings.
Correct.
Or what?
Correct. You are correct.
I thought you said erect.
Correct. It started, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, young at heart. Oh, my goodness, cover your ears.
I'm going back to the 80s now.
But I thought with the AI, and I heard your interview the other day about AI, I thought AI can create all these things and do all these things, but will it end up just having another form of AI listening and watching it all? Meanwhile, we'll all be off doing something else. What's the AI doing? Oh, I don't know. It's doing something.
Well, it's all too much for us, our simple minds, I suppose.
Yeah.
And we're into communication, which we've absolutely loved, all of us that have been involved and still are involved.
Oh, I love communication.
Well, mid-dawn, it's a very specialised area.
It really, and you're spot on with that. I've always felt after midnight, it's kind of being blinkered. And you're very intense. Whatever it is, you're very intense because there's no distractions. There's no beautiful blue sky or clouds in the sky. There's no cars going by. There's nothing to distract you. So if you've got a happy thought or a sad thought, it's intense.
It is.
And if you're speaking, that's intense. So I find there's a wonderful opportunity to really get into quite beautiful detail in a very short amount of time, and I love it.
Look, the callers that ring through from midnight to dawn, there's a reason they're awake. They're either lonely or they're troubled or they just want to have a chat, you know, because they haven't got company during the day. Working night shifts.
Usually I find that they're by themselves.
They are.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the point, was what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, exactly.
And they ring you to have a chat because you're their mate. And we're not saying that in a flippant way. They feel the warmth. If you don't connect with people, even off radio or off television,
you're right.
You can't put it back onto radio. They can. People aren't silly, and they're not it's not an auditorium of an audience. It's one person at one time.
I was told that when I first started. Remember, there's only one. Even in a room, if there's a room with a radio, only one person is listening. Even though there's 100 people there, each of those 100 is one person.
That's exactly how you have to think. I think with radio, people are in the car. That's all. You know, they're on their own. That sort of thing. So let's talk about how you got started.
Oh, that was such a fun story.
That's an obvious thing to ask you.
It was here.
Oh, my gosh, at NR.
6NR. I think it was building 402, if anyone's got their Wikipedia. Is that
04? I think we're 0400.
Well, we're 004 in this room, building.
Yes.
So this is the old 402.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
So back then...
I rode on my bicycle.
How old were you?
I think I might have been 14.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
You had made your mind up at that age.
I had. Yeah, I had.
And what did you do when you were here?
And so I would volunteer. I'd say, hi, can I be on the radio? And they said, well, we're okay for Mickey Mouses at the moment, but if you want to lift those things and put them... Oh, I'd love to do that. I was opening doors for people and...
The voice hadn't matured by then, right? But that is fantastic. Were you in a studio like this?
Well,
what were you
very
doing?
much like this, except it smelt more like coffee and cigarettes, I think.
Actually, we all grew up with the cigarettes in studios.
That's right.
How true was that?
There used to be the secret cigarette ashtray under the console somewhere. You'd always find it, and you think, oh, right, okay, I know what's been happening here. But I had a real intense love of radio, and I there was no way they were going to let me on air. I didn't have the ability, but I just loved the buttons. Yeah. But most of all, I honestly loved the kind of people that were in a radio station. They were fun. They had personality. You know, everyone, whether they be assistants or producers, announcers.
It's true.
You know, they all had something to give.
And they all worked together.
Yes.
That's the thing, because it's not just the person sitting on behind the microphone. It's so much that goes into what you're going to do. So how many years were you here?
Well, I think I was at the old 6&R here now, Curtin, for a couple of years filling in, you know, just doing little things after school whenever I can.
Oh, okay.
And then I think, oh, that's right, I started making my school radio. I did that on a cassette tape.
Did you? Like an audition tape?
I found one the other day too.
Did you?
Hi, everybody. My pronunciation was very good.
What a shame we can't let people hear a bit of that.
There's no way I'd let anyone.
So all of a sudden your voice changed.
I was embarrassed by it.
So how did you move into other forms of radio?
Well, my mum told me, who's listening in, hi mum.
Yeah.
I wanted to say that. And she said to me one day, right, well, you either get a job or you clean the house. How good are mums, right?
Oh, wish we could use that on our kids.
And I laughed because I thought, how silly is mum? All I have to do is get a job and then I don't have to clean the house.
That's brilliant.
All I have to do.
So where did you go?
So I got out my typewriter and I typed out a letter telling them all the things I could do as my nose grew and grew and grew.
Empty the ashtrays.
Yeah, I could, you know. But I told them I could cut on this letter. I said I could cut, which, you know, it's a lost art now.
Cartridges, turntables.
So that's where we take a commercial, a 30-second commercial, and put it on a more convenient format, like a big plastic cassette tape, but it would only play for 30 seconds. And I said I could do that. And I photocopied this, sent it off to every radio station and TV station in Western Australia. And dear Dick Hemming,
from
6PR,
right, on the terrace, Adelaide Terrace.
That's right, 340 Hay Street.
Yeah,
called me up.
Oh, right.
And said, I might have called Mum up actually, and said, would you like to come in for an interview?
Oh, isn't that great? Because you're enthusiastic.
Yeah.
That is just absolutely wonderful, John. So when you went to commercial radio...
So I remember, though, he said, oh, well, you know, so you can cart, and carting there is going to be the same as here.
Yeah.
And he said, and you could probably just park your car over there. I thought, park my car? I thought, that's something else I can't do. Can't drive, can't cart.
Did you ride your bike in, did you?
I think I caught the bus. I might use my school bus pass to get half price.
What suburb were you in?
That's an interesting story, Jenny. Many people have wondered about that one. I think that's got lost in history. But I do remember it being a fun time there, and I learnt, and I asked so many questions.
That's the thing. Listen and learn. People that think they're going to be smart and clever from the very first day in any job,
that's right.
That is all wrong.
That's right.
And I tell you what, the other thing too is when you're on air is listening to the guests that you're talking to.
Quite right.
It's their story. It's not yours.
If only people would realise that.
Oh, do you want me to write that down for you?
I've already made notes.
I'm sorry.
Listen.
No, you do listen, of course. That's exactly what you do. So we'll get back to that because we've got a chat coming up very shortly. Now, we're going to talk about the importance of body language. We don't see that. It's not telly, it's radio. That's a big difference. But what you do in communication in real life is something verbally you can use on the radio to everyone. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly.
So do you want to be helped, hugged or heard We're going to speak to Scott Taylor. He's a body language and behavioural profiling expert. He's amazing. You know the lady that was convicted for the murder of the family with mushrooms?
Oh, yes.
When she first got back to her home, the press were there, obviously, and he could read her lips. And the actions that she used when she got out the car, like pretended to be crying, is what he said. She looked at her hand to see if there were tears there. There's all those little things. As a profiler in a court case is very important.
Yes, you could only imagine, because I think we've all watched that case very, very closely, and God bless the priest who I think survived.
Okay, we'll take a break. We'll come back soon.
Do you have a room that is full of junk?
We make junk disappear.
All you have to do is point.
When we've worked our magic,
A beam of light will shoot through the clouds.
the floor will sparkle and the walls will shine.
That room will make you feel like singing.
The more we haul away, the less you pay.
For just a few dollars, you can reclaim your Saturday.
Celebration!
1-800-GOTJUNK.com.au
1-800-GOTJUNK.com.au
Station sponsor.
The popcorn, the choc bombs, the wine, the cheese. In fact, the whole movie experience. Luna Palace Cinemas bring you the cult classics, special screenings, theatre performances live in high definition, and daily movies destined to become cinema classics. Luna Palace Cinemas in Leederville, Luna on Essex in Fremantle, and the Windsor in Nedlands. Cafes, bars, movies, and life at station sponsor Luna Palace Cinemas.
Low in iron, have type 2 diabetes, need travel vaccinations or family planning advice. Park Medical Group is here to help. Conveniently located and providing a wide range of medical services, including GPs, doctor's surgery, on-site pathology and pharmacy. Park Medical Group makes looking after your family's health easy. With centres in Vic Park, East Vic Park and New Waterford Plaza location, book with confidence. parkmedicalgroup.com.au and on Health Engine.
Station sponsor.
Yoga can be used to calm your mind and connect you with the present moment. Researchers at Murdoch University have co-designed a novel online yoga intervention aimed at reducing anxiety among autistic children. If you have a child aged 6 to 18 years old who has an autism diagnosis and would be interested in participating in this research, please contact Tundi Loftus through the Cognition in Autism Research Lab website, which is autismlabmu.org. That is autismlabmu.org.
Curtin Radio.
Body language is a very, very big part of our communication, isn't it, John?
It certainly is.
Yeah.
How many times has your body language betrayed what you were really thinking, or not purposely conveyed what you meant to say?
That's exactly right. Well, our guest joining us right now is Scott Taylor. He's an expert in this field. We speak to him quite often, actually, and he joins us. Good afternoon to you, Scott.
Hi, Jenny. How you going?
Going very well, and here's Jon Lewis right with me.
Hi, Scott.
Hi, John.
Good to have you with us as well. You've helped us out a lot with defining what people are trying to communicate, in, especially with court cases and that sort of thing, or legal things. But let's look at the topic that you've actually got here today. How do you want to be helped, hugged or heard? That's a big question.
It is, and the thing is, what can occur is we just have these situations where we don't have conversational alignment. Even when we have great intent, you can be having a conversation with somebody where they're having an emotional conversation, and we will try and jump to a practical solution. So we get a lot of misalignment there.
Scott, how do you know what is the right thing to do at that point? How do you know if they want to be helped or hugged or heard?
Yeah, I mean, part of the initial part for that is being present and really picking up the totality of their communication. I mean, because really what can happen is, I've been caught up in this myself, there can be a family type issue and somebody can have an emotional element where, based on their wording, based on their gestures, they're wanting just to vent and to have some space held for them. But I may jump into that practical response and, have you tried this? Have you thought about this? Here's what I've done, and I make the conversation about me. So the first thing is being present. Don't just wait for the opportunity to speak. Truly listen, and that will help you clarify that.
I was just saying that to John. We're having a conversation about listening very carefully to people, which I do to you, Scott, because the conversation can always go off in different areas. Now, body language, you've often said, is as important as the verbal communication. Do you think that's still the case?
Yeah, I think when we're interacting with people, people will quite often tell you their emotional state by what's not being said, but what they're showing out. I mean, people act their emotions, and so you see those in the non-verbal elements. You also see it in some of the verbal ones as well, but not just the words, the changes in speaking cadence and intonation. So it's a combination of those that really gives us some indication.
Do you think, Scott, that sometimes we can hide our body language when really it would be better to release it? Is there a way that we can open up to that?
That's a great question. I mean, people do try, depending on if they're not wanting to give the depth of their emotional feelings for whatever reason, people will try and withhold that. But there's so many indicators once you become aware of them. So people can try and, for example, if there's some discomfort or nervousness, we'll do that by trying to stay rigid. But just by the fact that we're being more rigid can be an indicator. We try and relax, but things like our blink rate spiking when we've got discomfort is a really strong indicator, and a range of these other things. I think what it comes down to is the fact that once we're more attuned to each other, and even when it comes to arguments, I mean, that can be the most difficult thing. Once we even do things like quantify the boundary of the argument and people become more at ease, you have more ability then to really be able to pick up on some of those other elements.
Look, Scott, it's going a little bit out of the field here, but I want your opinion on this as to what it might happen to people in the future. We're turning more to less face-to-face communication, which you can see body language and verbal, of course. But if we're going to start to continue to be communicating technology through technology, down the track, that's really going to have an effect, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's another great point. I mean, we've been communicating face-to-face for millions of years, but online since 1983. And so from that perspective, the Zoom wave officially only came out a couple of years ago when we had COVID peak. The thing is, for some of these elements, though, there's still the indicators even when we're having online communication. So, Jenny, we've spoken previously about that sort of front area between your chin and down to your groin area and your belly button area, there being your ventral area. And even when you're online, if people are communicating when there's discomfort or even potential deceptive behaviour, they can close it up or move that away from you. So you still see that online.
That's a lot for us to look at from their head down to their toes.
Makes you want to stay in shape.
But, I mean, I've actually had interviews that I've been conducting and people have said, look, what's your version of the ideal interview? And I said, my ideal version for an online interview is have them sitting on a stool rather than just having that top part of their body, because I can see a lot more and judge a lot more of their true intent.
Now, go ahead, John, because ask Scott about the work he does as well.
Well, that's right. I would have thought, Scott, with your profiling, there's so much to learn from that. And I think we've seen news stories where the person said one thing, but we've all looked at their body and thought, no, they're lying. There's something else going on there.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, what happens is there's indicators when people communicate that because it's discomfort indicators we look for, not just deceptive indicators. And what occurs is, even people with media training, the brain knows what it knows. So when they say things, their body still has those physiological changes and links. So you're 100% right. People can say, yes, I'm very much behind that, but their head is already shaking no as they're saying these things. So there's not congruence with their words and their body language. Sometimes we don't even consciously pick it up, but we do realise it. You're very right.
Scott, what about in a court case? I mean, you're such an expert in this field. Are you often called in to give your opinion?
I'm asked for a lot of opinions before these things occur, but once they turn into the formal processes, then no, not so much. So I do give some, I mean, as occurred with, the mushroom, Aaron Patterson and other situations there, and even with Brittany Higgins and Bruce Lerman, there's some initial indications on behavioural elements and content from statement and word analysis can be indicative. But due to our processes, as soon as that becomes more of a formal process, then no, I'm not involved in those elements.
So, Scott, we're learning about body language, and I think it's great that we understand this, but can we get it wrong? Can I read the body language of someone and go, aha, I know what's going on here? Is it a foolproof science, or is it more like a philosophy, an art form?
Wonderful question. Yeah, it is an art form, and the thing is there's a lot of disciplines, so I've been very fortunate to learn with a range of people and individual specialists from around the globe. So facial micro-expressions is one element, the body language is another, statement and word analysis, so the ordering of words, the selection of words, and even the tone. So it's the combination of all of those elements. We jump because we have myths, and that Sometimes it's if somebody's looking away, they're being guarded or deceptive, or if somebody crosses their arms, it may just be cold or they may be comfortable.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
I never thought of that.
And we've got to look for deviations from those. So even the person that crosses their arms as part of their baseline, if they get discomfort or have deceptive indicators, then they will still tighten their grip on their own arm or slightly move the arm up or get a self-pacifying gesture.
Pacifying. Yeah. What about questioning somebody that's been arrested for a prospective crime in that instance?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of indicators there, and I can say that I'm having some further discussions now about providing some training to a range of different teams and divisions on some of these elements. And when it comes to those items, the ones that I said to you before about spiked blink rate, about closing off those power zones, there's a lot of indicators when people are trying for deceptive behaviour that we see that can be quite strong. I mean, the blink rate, we blink 12 to 14 blinks per minute, but with stress and duress, that can go to 30 or 40 or more. Now, when that's coupled with ducking the chin, lip compression, self-pacifying gestures by rubbing in parts of the body, and that can turn into scratching, as that's occurring during questioning things, there's some really strong indicators there when the person's being deceptive.
I'd be in trouble. I blink if the mascara gets into my eyes.
Wow, I was just thinking, you just described me or my darling wife asked if I've cleaned the house.
The dust. Yeah.
Is that from surprise, John?
I think so.
That's the tough part of Scott's job, I think, isn't it? To making sure that it's not a self-pacifying action or it's not a physical thing that's caused them
That's
to
right,
do
to read
that,
the truth
to
of it.
read the truth. But it's certainly worthwhile looking into. It's amazing the work you do, Scott.
Scott, can it ever be faked? If we fake our body language to try and to convey a particular attitude, can you see through that?
That's another great question. So the thing is, with some of these elements, there's some parts that, yes, we try and practice and fake, but things like, for example, that because people don't know about the blink rate, they don't think of that. Because of the fact that people don't realise that when there's deceptive behaviour, that cortisol releases through their body and dries their mouth out, so they will lick their lips more and swallow more. They don't know these things. So that's why even if we try and adjust the more overt body language, there's other tells that we see that they're not aware of. And the more I speak to you guys, the more they are.
Yeah, good point. Very interesting prospect.
I've got one question for you. I don't know if this is a question to ask such a sensible person like yourself, Scott, but what about space invaders? They lean in and they get closer and they get closer.
Who the hell are they?
And sometimes you can get the spittle and it always seems to land in your eye. Why are they doing it? And
people
how can
that
I
come
stop
close
it?
to you.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking science fiction.
Yeah,
I feel like
I'm smiling quite a lot because I actually had a conversation earlier this morning specifically about this. So there's a science called proxemics, which is our own need for space. We all have an awareness of the need of our own space and what we need. Confident people take space, so that's why their gestures are a bit broader. That's why their head is up and those power zone areas open. And so less confident people are withdrawn. Dominant people try and take your space. So that's why when you see people for a complaint, for example, they'll put both hands on the counter and lean in. Yeah. So when people are taking your space, that's from confidence heading towards dominance.
Dominance, yeah. Which leads us to the situation we're experiencing around Australia, domestic violence. Those signs should be very obvious, shouldn't it, to a partner that may end up in a very bad situation.
True.
I mean, it's a terrible situation, and some of the work I've done previously with some of the women's community shelters, I mean, the numbers are staggering in domestic violence being one of the number one drivers for women's homelessness, and there needs to be some more support in every area, from the funding to additional just support and training in around like that space. But yeah, the thing is, from some of the feedback that I've had, they've become very, very aware of those indicators of what occurs with their partner. So they know some of those tells, sadly, because they're in those circumstances.
Yeah, John, that's a big area that perhaps you could teach women, if they are going to be victims, to pick up those
Very
signs
important.
early. Yeah, body language signs.
Yes, yeah. I mean, there's so many pre-aggression and pre-violence indicators that stand out as well. But the thing is, people that are in that circumstance can obviously become hyper-vigilant with what they're having to deal with there. So, yeah.
Everything's going to help, though, isn't it? Scott, we always welcome your presence on the program. We really do thank you. You're such a busy man. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, and great to speak with you, John.
Good on you, Scott. Thank you.
Thanks, Scott, very much indeed. Now, a bit of music.
I like that. After Scott's fine body of music, we turn on to John Denver. I love this one. Some Days Are Diamonds.
You like every song we've had.
I do. I love all the music.
Probably people that used to ring you on air. We've got Clark. G'day, Clark.
I think you're right.
Hi, Jenny. We used to have you on 6PR with Gary. That was amazing.
Those are the days, Clark, weren't they? Beautiful. And the cheeky things they would get up to, those two. They were characters.
We got away with it.
I know. It's how you did it is what we all want to know.
You know me, John, on the cab. I used to work early morning, don't anymore, but you were just an amazing person, amazing bloke, so caring, thoughtful, and everyone at 6PR will miss you, mate. Just amazing.
Well, it's very kind of you to say that, Clark, and I do understand that, Jenny and Clark, that people would say that about you and the way you'd look after them. Clark, if I've got this right, a customer would sit in your taxi and you'd say, and what kind of music would you like to listen to? And then you'd select it and play it during their journey.
That's good, isn't it?
Thoughtful.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, that's right.
Good on you, Clark. We've got a bit of a phone hiccup at the moment. And you've been driving a taxi for a very long time, haven't you?
Yes, I have, about 43 years on Swan.
Oh, my gosh.
Wow.
You give my regards to your sister Dixie, won't you?
You're good mates with my dad as well, Arthur.
Arthur, yes.
That's right.
Great tennis player. Yep, absolutely. We know all about you, Clark.
Okay. Thanks, Jenny.
Thank you so much. You look after yourself, Clark.
Good on you, Clark. That's wonderful.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Okay, now we've got Lynn. Good afternoon to you.
Oh, is that me, Jenny?
That is you, Lynn.
It is, Lynn.
Yes.
How lovely to hear.
Murgatroyd. Thank you for taking my call, Jenny.
Okay.
Stop laughing, John.
Well, I've always loved that Heaven to Murgatroyd because that was that cartoon, wasn't he?
That's
that
right.
Oh, yes.
Panthery type cat thing.
Yeah, the cat one.
Exit
Correct.
stage left.
Yeah, I can't remember the Jolly Roger now, yeah. So, Jenny, thanks for taking my call, and it is so lovely to hear our baby-faced Jon Lewis on the radio.
He's still baby-faced. Mind you, it's radio, Lynn. You can't see him. He's got a good head for radio. That's what we say.
Yeah, but he's still beautiful.
I took the paper bag off before entering the building for health and hygiene.
Oh, John. Yeah,
No.
Look. Yeah, sorry.
Go ahead.
Jenny.
That's okay, love.
I'm just overwhelmed.
Oh.
Well, it's very kind of you, Lynn. Very kind. Because I know you'd listen in regularly because you'd just simply be awake. And I think Jenny and I were wondering, it's more about companionship, isn't it? You've got your friends on the radio and your friends that call in.
Yeah.
Well, we're all mourning, and I cannot just speak for myself, I can speak for everybody. We're all mourning for the loss, John.
Yeah, that's that. Well, we all are because people want connection, don't they?
Yes.
They want to speak to somebody they know. Yeah.
Oh, Jenny, seriously. I mean, we love him to bits.
Well, you're so kind.
He's in our heart. Oh, don't push it, John.
Well, you know, it could be worse. I could have lost my
You
humour.
have to listen to a compliment, okay?
Well, I go.
See, you feel uncomfortable.
Thank
Stop
you.
it.
I do. Scott, I need your help. How do I listen?
Lynn, thank you very, very much.
Thank you very much, and big loves and hugs to you, John and Jenny, and it's wonderful to hear him on the radio.
You're a love. Thank you, Lynn.
Good on you, Lynn.
Thank you indeed. Take a break. Come back to
Jason Featherby here.
Garth and
At
Noel
night,
in a
we
moment.
fully understand that there are many twists and turns in life's journey, and know that there is never a better time to start looking at your financial situation than right now. We understand that your financial needs will change throughout your life. So if you need help with your superannuation, retirement planning, insurances, or your investments, contact us today at knightgroup.com.au. That's Knight with a K.
AFSL 438631.
Station sponsor.
From commercial mining trailers and horse floats to holiday caravans and campers, Always Caravan is your trailer repair and servicing specialist. With over 50 years combined experience, we provide fast turnaround, quality workmanship and competitive prices while making your safety our top priority. So before you tow and go, call 9459 3000. WA owned since 1976. Always Caravan. We know trailers. DL 13536 station sponsor.
When he walked into our date venue, he looked at least 10 years older than his profile photo.
Turns out he was actually married too. Skip the online dating horror stories. You can meet genuine folk like you at Solutions Matchmaking. Their dedicated team carefully selects your matches from a pool of sincere people. It's the new normal way to meet a companion, safely, and the best alternative for mature, genuine, unattached West Australians. Solutions Matchmaking has your partner. Visit solutionsmatchmaking.com.au. Station sponsor.
It's a fascinating way to spend a day. The Motor Museum of Western Australia is full of displays of our motoring history and unique one-off vehicles. Sit in the RAC IntelliBus display and experience Australia's first driverless vehicle trial achievements. Watch as they fire up the old shed find vehicles. Free 45-minute tours at 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. every day. Seniors just $13 and $16.50 for adults. Even less if you're an RAC member. The Motor Museum of WA at Whiteman Park, open 10 a.m. to 4 p.m, 7 days a week. And it's free to come into Whiteman Park.
100.1 FM.
Co-hosting the program today, Jon Lewis.
It's a delight to be here with you, Jenny Seaton, a real delight. Do you know, funniest thing happened to me yesterday, sounds like a joke. It was quite comedic. A lovely lady, Gina of the USA, who'd ring in regularly on the program.
Right.
And she said, John, I'm going to come to Australia. I'm going to see everybody. And she arrived yesterday, and I thought, well, I'll go meet her at the airport.
I saw that on Facebook.
Yeah, and I made a lot of mistakes. No one's ever going to ask me to pick them up at the airport, but eventually we found her. And Jeff, who I call Antarctic Jeff, because he's flown to the Antarctic in those Qantas flights where they zoom around and then come back. He was there too. Now, apparently the two of them have struck up a friendship, and I think Jeff is taking Gina out today for a bite of lunch.
Oh, how lucky is
lovely?
Gina? We
But
welcome
radio.
her to Australia. See, for people who listen around the world.
Correct.
Fantastic. Okay, let's have a quick chat to Garth. Good afternoon, Garth.
Hello there, Garth.
This is Nola.
Oh, it's Nola. Oh, we've got
hello,
you up at
Nola.
line one. Oh, sorry, it was my fault. My fault. Go ahead, Nola.
Hello, John, me lovely. How are you?
Well, indeed. I'm very well. And yourself?
Very well. I could cry hearing your lovely voice on the radio.
Oh, Nola.
I hope it continues, John.
Yes.
I've missed you so much.
Yeah, it's so beautiful.
Look, I turned off 6PR. I've not turned it back on. I'm on Curtin, and that's where I stay. We'll support them after what they did.
Big welcome to you, Nola. And you're right. We've said it before. We said it 6 times, I think, today. People get to know you. They get to like a person. And you're you're in their home. You're in the privacy of their home.
And it's a great honour.
6PR, we listen to John.
Yeah, good on you, Nola.
Oh, Nola, thank you so much. I've got to learn how to take compliments. Honestly, that is definitely one of my failings. I'm not sure
I don't think anyone handles it that well, unless you're narcissistic. I expect it.
Tell me more.
Nola, you take care of yourself.
Saying hello to me. Thank you. And John, you take care.
You too. Thank you, Nola.
Wherever you're going.
Thank you for taking the time. Thank you, Nola. Wow. Now we have Garth. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon to you, Jenny and John. How are we?
Indeed, Garth. Nice to have your company. How's life?
Oh, Jon Lewis, it's good to have you back on the radio. My night shifts in Leonora aren't the same.
I know. It's a funny old thing, isn't it? How that the voice in the night, however you hear it, whether it's over a speaker or headphones or the internet,
it's
it
intimate.
makes its way to you.
It's intimate.
I think you're spot
but no, I miss your your quizzes and your 3 o'clock rock jukebox and I don't miss your gong songs though, John. They were pretty ugly.
I can't believe you said that out
He's
loud.
insulted now.
I'd choose those songs from my heart, my gong songs.
Sorry, John.
And I had so many more to play, and nobody seems to love
What
them.
the hell's a gong song?
So I would, as you would know, Garth, I would play a song that I truly love, but it would not be everyone's cup of tea. And if you didn't love it, you could ring up and gong it off the radio.
Oh, I get you.
And my success rate was 40-60, 60 gongs to 40% of songs going all the way through.
That's a bit generous, John, isn't it? No,
Yes, all right.
Good to see you. Good to see you. And I watched your thing yesterday, John, at the airport. And I'm glad you found Gina in the end. But also, Jenny, my mum wanted me to mention that she used to listen to you and Gary Carville back in the day as well. So.
Oh, thank you. And say hello to your mum. That sounds great. Thank you so much. Good days. Bye-bye, Garth.
Good idea.
Okay, I'm sure there's hundreds out there that would even have liked to have spoken to you.
Such lovely people.
Yeah, well, they
Salt
are.
of the earth.
Well, you give something back. That's the thing. If you didn't give it back, if it was all about you, it wouldn't be the same response.
Well, I used to look at it as going to spend time with my friends for 5 hours. It was like playing on social media, but it was real, and the body language through the voice was able to be conveyed, and we all had fun together.
And people continually want that to happen. You know, I think everyone's a wee bit scared that we're going to be blocked into technology completely and lose cash. We're not going to have cash flow. We're not going to have people that we want to hear.
That's right.
In the media, whether it be radio or television, big changes.
You are spot on, Jenny. And I think anyone who's tried to fill in an online form knows how restrictive the internet can be. And we love the freedom of being able to ring up and talk to someone and say, oh, yeah, but, you know, and through your body language that you have, you can hear their voice and think if they need a bit more help or not.
To go into the radio station, because I did mid-dawn for a while. Everyone in the media do mid-dawn sooner or later. Yeah. Years ago I did that. And it's a lonely, cold place. Like you say, there's no distraction. But it can be a little bit lonely. There's no mate sitting outside that you can say, oh, do you mind getting us a coffee and come in and have a chat or something? So it's something you have to get used to is when you're arriving, when everyone else is home in bed.
That's right. But it did feel like I could get away with more, though.
You pushed the boundaries. With the gong song, I think you might have.
I love it though. I think boundaries are there to be pushed. Otherwise, you don't know if they work.
So let's just go back because we've only got about 5 minutes or so. Go back to when you got your first job at was it 6PR?
6PR. So I'd only ever worked at 6PR
on Hay Street.
Yeah, at 340 Hay Street. Then they moved in the early 90s to 169 Hay Street.
So when you were there, you were carting and putting things in carts?
That's right. I was putting the commercial came on a reel-to-reel tape and you'd put it on a cartridge, a bit like an 8-track cartridge for those who remember.
That. We used to have one in the car.
They were wonderful. Lots of music. And then I moved into sound engineering, learning to make radio commercials, TV commercials. I remember a great thrill. I made a cinema voiceover. Not my voice, but I produced it. So when I sat in the cinema, I heard this ad that I'd made. I used to turn up the ads when I was listening to them in the car. I used to enjoy that. And then one day I had the opportunity of going on the radio.
How did that come about,
I used to play my demo tapes from here, 6NR, on the cassette that I still would go there.
That squeaky voice.
Yes, and Pete Brown.
Peter Brown?
Good on you, Pete.
Yeah.
He would listen to them and say, oh, Johnny, you need to do this, you need to do that, make it better. You need to use a real voice, not just that little Mickey Mouse. And so I would practice that. And then one day he said, come and join us on air.
Oh, he was grooming you, to be the person that you were. So when you started doing a program, was it set at a particular time?
Well, it was all music. It was midnight.
Oh, you were doing mid-dawn then?
Yeah, so I started with mid-dawn and I played all music. But I remember reading an interview about longevity and a radio announcer who'd been on air longer than anyone else. Gary McLaughlin, I think. I can't quite remember his name. And I called him up and asked him, how did you do it? And he did all talkback. And I thought, maybe the secret for longevity is talkback. And so for that reason, I lost my interest in music and developed a real love and passion for talking.
That's because you care about people. And that's important. You can't pretend to. You've got to genuinely care about people.
It does need to be real. Because
people can tell.
There's no way you can cover that up.
No, there's not. Tell you what, we've got another 10 minutes after this break.
My reputation is your guarantee of honesty and fair dealing, a friendly and hassle-free car buying experience, and an easy and efficient motor vehicle purchase.
Go to johnhughes.com.au, your car buying destination.
DL 6061.
Station sponsor.
Purely Commercials are buying motorhomes and camper vans for cash. Our buyer will come to you and buy your motorhome or camper van outright. We need stock, so prices are up. purelycommercials.com.au.
DL 11509 station sponsor. Loads of winter stock has arrived at West Coast Menswear in Kingsley. So gents, get there quickly while it lasts. There's a great range of breakaway fleece jackets, track pants, brushed cotton and flannelette shirts, wool blend pullovers and cardies. And check out their bomber jackets, available in black or olive. Fantastic new winter clothing for men of all sizes. Now available at station sponsor West Coast Menswear, Kingsley Village Shopping Centre, Kingsley Drive in Kingsley.
Darling Range Hub is offering a new exercise class, Chair Pilates, at the Jack Healy Centre in Kalamunda. Wednesdays from 1pm to 2. Bookings are essential. Call 0492 807 603. The Endeavour Theatre Company is presenting a murder mystery, Shadows of the Past, at the Sterling Leisure Centre, Belvedere Road, Hammersley. May 18th with matinees on the 19th and 26th. Book at trybooking.com or 0432 671 517.
The music you remember. Curtin Radio.
Gina, good afternoon to you.
Hello, hello, hello.
Now that you are the Gina of the USA that I took a very long time to find you at the airport.
Well, you were in the international arrivals, not the domestic arrivals.
Well, that's right, because I thought, well, you're American, so I thought Americans were international, but apparently you'd come in from Sydney. Gina, what is it you have loved about Perth? So you've been listening there in America. You could listen to any country in the world, any city in the world, but you chose Perth to listen to. Why did you do that all those years ago?
Well, it's mostly the radio station that I was listening to, the people. They were interesting. And then when I had a chance to call in, I called in. So I'm like, oh, okay. People, you like all topics. It wasn't just one topic. It was nice to have all these people. Hi, Lynn. Hi, Noah.
Yes, good communication. When did it start? When did you find John?
Oh, at least 15 years ago.
How many years? 18?
Yeah, almost.
My gosh, really?
I can't believe it. If I'm 21 something.
No, you're not. Don't lie. Gina, can I ask where you live in the United States?
Phoenix, Arizona. Phoenix.
In Phoenix. And what is your life about? Are you working these days or?
Oh, I work at a nursing home.
Oh, lovely.
Alzheimer's.
How gorgeous.
Yeah.
Caring for people when we're our most vulnerable.
Now you're here in Perth. I hope you get to see as much as possible.
Oh, I am trying. He's showing me around.
That is good. Only the good spots.
Jeff.
Is that Jeff behind there?
I think that's the voice of Antarctic Jeff, who loves travelling and has travelled to the Antarctic and back and got that nickname.
Got the good nickname there, John. Jeff?
Yeah. And I'm going to check out the beaches and check everything out here.
Yes, you've come in. We've had very long, hot, dry summer. Now it's just clouding over a wee bit, but it is a beautiful place to be. And on behalf of Curtin Radio, we welcome you.
We do.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye, guys. Thank you for joining us. Okay, we've got another quick call. Julian.
Gorgeous.
Hi. I hope the line's okay. I'm driving, but I'm using hands-free. John and I used to work at 6PR together in 1985. Do you remember me, John?
Julian, sound engineer Julian.
Indeed it is. How are you?
Indeed, I'm very, very well. Well, Julian really taught me the fine arts, along, of course, with Julian, with our friend Lino Magro.
Yeah, Lino.
You taught me the fine arts of audio, and I think you got me to really listen to the audio, really to understand it too.
Get a feel for it.
Well, you were a great engineer, John, so it was a loss to our side of the fence when you crossed over to the announcing.
To the dark side.
Really, you went to the dark side. You really had a fabulous career, so congratulations on that. I was absolutely shocked when I read what happened online. I couldn't believe it. So I'm so glad I've had the chance to ring up and say hello again and wish you all the best.
You are so
nice.
kind, Julian. And, Jenny, Julian saved me from taking on a career of being a rock and roll star when I said, I think me and my bass can do something. And Julian said, really think about it.
Yeah.
You're so good, Julian.
Thank you, Julian.
No worries. Lovely to talk to you both.
Bye-bye, Julian. Actually, I don't think you'd be a rock and roll star with your ukulele.
Well, that's right. I do love my ukulele. We've got to say hello. It says, hi, Jenny and John, and hello to all at Curtin. Regards from Chris and Blue, the Wonder Dog from Mount Lawley.
Oh, how gorgeous. Thank you very much. Now, you've got something else over there.
Yes, one of your lovely colleagues likes my anagrams.
Yes, I heard.
So I've got a peach of an anagram right now, and the word is peach. So the way it works is the word is peach, and you've got to come up with an anagram using all those letters.
Okay.
And the clue is, it may have been a terrible peach, but you could not argue with what it was. So we've got to anagram the letters. So maybe one of the callers or texters might come up with something.
Bit hard
Otherwise,
for me.
we'll reveal it soon.
Will you?
Well, they're too hard for me. I could never solve them.
Well, do you think we should do it now?
All right.
Tell us what it is.
So the answer is cheap.
Really?
So P-E-A-C-H becomes C-H-E-A-P.
Oh, look, we've got the producer outside
Oh,
there throwing her arms around saying,
you
I
are
got that.
so good, Yvonne.
Yvonne, my gosh.
A round of applause.
If I only had that intelligence, my
Wow.
gosh. Fantastic. And when you prep, when you go and do a program, even Midnight to Dawn, the news, of course, changes all the time. Sometimes
It
it's
does.
distressing. And so you researched before for Midnight to Dawn, didn't
I
you?
do. I always do a lot of research, as I know you do too. And I found a couple of very interesting stories. There was the archaeologists have reconstructed the face of a 75,000-year-old. Well, you know about this story, right?
I saw that this morning. It
Yeah,
looked like a
Neanderthal
bloke.
woman.
She was a bloke.
Oh, yeah, be generous. Poor thing. It's just the way God made her.
No, I was, but I
She
thought
is
it was a man.
75,000 years old.
She's
I know.
well. Isn't that clever that they can do
It's
that?
so remarkable. And what's more, that lady looks like a relatively normal person. And to think that these are pre-humans we're talking about, how they could easily just be among us today.
I'd love to learn more about that, from where we evolved our bodies and the looks that we have, and it's just so different, isn't it, from way back?
Well, that's right. I mean, apparently the Neanderthals are not too different to us. In fact, I'm exactly like them first thing in the morning. So I try and get myself together.
We all have to be careful of that.
And there was a very interesting story about an orangutan, easily just be among us today.
I'd love to learn more about that, from where we evolved our bodies and the looks that we have, and it's just so different, isn't it, from way back?
Well, that's right. I mean, apparently the Neanderthals are not too different to us. In fact, I'm exactly like them first thing in the morning. So I try and get myself together.
We all have to be careful of that.
And there was a very interesting story about an orangutan,
But a humanitarian?
Yeah, I think these words are easier to read than the outer. I did practice that word, I do promise you. But it's applied medicine to itself, this orangutan, and it's the first time they've ever seen that. Ever with animals.
They're so clever.
Wild animals.
They're
and it took this leaf and it chewed it up and applied the juice to its wound, and then it took the rest of the leaf, mushed it up and put it on top.
That's incredible.
To treat its wound.
Amazing. Well, this hour has been amazing.
It's been amazing.
You're an
with
absolute
you,
love, Jon Lewis. I appreciate you coming in and having a chat. We'll do it again sometime if that's okay.
I look forward to it, Jenny.
And everyone looks forward to hearing from you. Jon Lewis.